Hello, and welcome along to the stream tonight. I've just had a notification that Maurice has subscribed Tier 1, so thank you very much for that subscription, Maurice. It's telling me that you're currently on a 24-month streak, so thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Hello to Nils, hello to Augusto, hello to Kim, and obviously hello to Maurice as well. Thank you all for coming along. First things first, I've no idea what's wrong with my internet tonight, but just before the stream, it has been going up and down. So if it's gonna continue like this, I might just call it a night and not do the stream, simply because it's not going to be any fun for you folks, and it's going to be more than annoying for me. Essentially talking to myself while I'm waiting for the internet to come back up. I've rebooted the router. I've kicked everything that I can think to kick, and it hasn't made any difference. This has been happening all day. It was happening at work today as well. So numerous Zoom calls, dropped connections, etc. So it was more than a little bit annoying. On the subject of work, he has announced it publicly, so I think it's okay to tell folks. But I'm very happy to say that Kim has joined Chocolatey as a software engineer. So Kim's first day at work was today. So yeah, very much looking forward to working with Kim on all things chocolatey. Sorry. I got that wrong. Sorry, yes. Kim's title is a package engineer as opposed to a software engineer. I apologize. So yeah, job title aside, Kim is working for us now at Chocolatey. And if you've been following along, we've actually had two other folks start with us recently as well, who've announced on the Twitters. So James Ruskin, as well as Josh King, are working for us at Chocolatey. So yeah, so busy time at Chocolatey. So it's lots of stuff happening, and hopefully lots of exciting stuff coming down the pipeline to let you all know about as well. So that's what's been going on at work. In terms of the vaccine that stopped me from being, was it last week that last week I didn't do a stream because I wasn't feeling well after the vaccination, but all of that is better, feeling much better, so I can continue. Was it last week or was it the week before? Have I lost a week? No, I don't actually know. Anyway, I did have a night off because of the vaccination, but I am feeling better now, so that's all good. Maurice is saying professional package builder, which is Kim. So yeah, it just seems like longer. It seems like it was longer than that, but don't know. So yeah, the plan for tonight, assuming that the internet stays up, is to continue working on GitReleaseManager. I have, since 2 weeks ago, which is when we would have been working on this, I have committed all the loose changes that we had in our Git repository, which was fixing some issues. I have just now confirmed that the publish command is working. So that's where we got to. That was one of the ones that we hadn't tested as of 2 weeks ago. So the publish command is working. So I've literally just done that. So you'll see that publish of release 012, and that correctly published and created the tag for 012. So that part is working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remember how to delete a remote tag. Git delete remote tag, because I don't want to have that in play. So it's two ways of doing it. That's the old one, this is the new one. I just need to remember that that's the one. I haven't got that one under my fingers. So git push -- delete origin. No, that's not going to work because I'm not on that repository. That's going to be difficult. Let's have another. Let's just go to that. How would that work? I don't have a remote set up for it. So hold on. Let's go to another PowerShell window and let's go to cd into C GitHub organizations. Under here, I should have Git tools. So cd into Git tools. And I don't have that repository. So let's go and find it. So let's do this one, and git clone that. So if I cd into this one, no, fake repository. If we do a git tag, it will have pulled down that tag. So I want to do a git tag -d of v0.1.2. So that deletes the local one. And I git push delete origin v0.1.2 should delete the remote one. And that should be it deleted. And Kim's just reminded me that I should have done git repo clone that one. And that would have saved me the need to get the full URL. Yeah, that makes sense too. I'll get there. I will. I'll get there. Right. The one that we found that wasn't working last week was, so there's one command that we found that wasn't working at all. So we've got an open release here, a draft release, and if we wanted to add an asset to it, if we were to go into here and do add asset, and we added that to tag that one -- token, and then we need an asset which is c temp export. What we found was that caused an error, and the error that we found was, it was a little bit of a strange one. We spent about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes 2 weeks ago looking into what the problem was, but it was something within the innards of OctoKit, which was saying that parameter name input value cannot be null. But from everything that I could see, we were passing all the information that was needed. So where I think we need to go next is we need to, I don't know, actually. I don't actually know what to do next. Where I think we want to go is we almost want to take a step away from GitReleaseManager and go back to just raw OctoKit to see if we can figure out what's going on. Because if we go into, if we have a search in here for add asset and look at the code again, then within the add asset command, that wouldn't be in there, it would be in the service, it would be in here. So add asset async, this is finding the release, and if the release exists, it's then calling the upload asset async, which was this, and then if I recall correctly, this is a direct OctoKit call. So we're calling upload asset directly on the GitHub client, which is part of OctoKit. Hey Corey, how's it going? Good to have you on. So I'm almost tempted to create some sort of small command line app to just call directly into OctoKit to try and figure out what's going on. But I just don't know, because there's no, let me just check to see that there wasn't any NuGet updates for any OctoKit related stuff. Well, there can't be, because Dependabot would have kicked in, and Dependabot would have, yeah, Dependabot would have told us. See, my internet's a way to go, I think. I'm getting timeouts. So I'm assuming that you guys can't hear me anymore. Yep, it's gone. So I'll wait until this comes back, and then I'll ask on a scale of 1 to 10 how annoying this is going to be, and then we'll decide how we're going to move forward. So normally when this happens, it takes a minute or two and it'll come back. We could hear you until you said timeout. So I've just got a WhatsApp message from Maurice saying that he could hear me. So, right, I think I'm back again. So can someone give me a wave, give me a thumbs up? So yeah, I was saying earlier, Corey, that my Zoom sessions keep on going up and down. So while I was talking to myself there, I asked the question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how annoying is this going to be? Because realistically, I expect that this is going to happen again. So if it's not going to be worthwhile, I'm inclined to say we should reconvene here next week rather than intermittently going up and down. What are your collective thoughts on this? I mean, I'm talking to myself at this point. I don't actually know if you folks can hear me or not. Just go with the flow, Maurice says. I mean, I'm happy to. I may get increasingly more frustrated at the internet. But anyway, so what I was going to do was I was going to go back to GitHub and find the OctoKit assembly. Reduce scope of this stream. What do you mean by that, Augusto? What does that mean? I agree with Maurice. Nils is saying plus as well. So the method that is causing the problem is the upload assets. No, it's not that. That's a lie. Upload assets async, which is the upload asset method. Just do less stuff. Well, at this point, I'm not actually doing anything because I don't know what the problem is. So I'm kind of just floundering around, to be honest. But if we go back into here, what we found last time was that in this method, there was it not something to do with a regular expression, that it was attempting to find something and it wasn't able to. So in the string extensions expand URI template, that's what it was. So in here, something in this method here is throwing an exception that says parameter name input value cannot be null. Parameter name, so I'm assuming that expand URI template has a value. No, see, it doesn't have a value called input. That again. Parameter name input value can, oh, so it's the input to the match, sorry. So within the expand URI template, there is a regex match who takes a parameter name as input. So this template is null. value cannot be null. So that template value is null. This is an extension method on a string. No, this is an extension method on a URI. No, I've done that wrong again. That is an extension method on a string on template. So if we go back to where we were calling that, which is here, so the upload URL, so the upload URL is null. So the releases upload URL. So where is that coming from? So the release here, it's upload URL. Oh, so that would be this one. Okay, so we've got a breakpoint there. So what I'll need to do is I will need to go back. I'll need to bring this down again. Did this 2 weeks ago, which is, this is me putting in the same method in the properties window of the project so that I can debug it and do it in a way that I'm not giving my token away. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to paste this into here. I'm going to save that and I'm going to close it. And I'm going to bring it back, all without giving my token away, so Maurice doesn't shout at me. And if I debug this and say start new instance, Maurice is saying, you can't get more frustrated than me fighting with Node MCU Lua Lolin ESP 88266 module and a 1.77 inch TFT screen that I can't get to work. That does sound a little bit frustrating. On top of the motor of your 3D printer breaking, did you get a replacement for it, Maurice? Or are they not giving you a replacement? So uploading assets, so let's remove that. Oh, you got that fixed. Okay, perfect. So this one's here, it's upload. The upload URL of this thing is null. So what? Yeah. So Nils is saying, I'll see your TFT and raise you to the .NET CLI templates in Rider. So that's one of the things that Nils is currently working on, which is to provide better support or some support for .NET CLI templates within Rider, because there's magic happening within Rider and the latest preview, I want to say, of Visual Studio, where if you've installed .NET CLI templates globally on your machine, then they magically appear within the IDE, so that when you go file a new project, you can pick one of those .NET CLI templates. So that's what Nils has been playing with. So the upload URL, why do I need that? What is that? If I go and duplicate this, and there's probably going to be lots of upload URLs across this project, but I did see some tests. So the API connection test, releases client. No, there isn't any mention of that in the tests. So what tests was I looking at when I was in here? Observable client test. Yeah, let's have a look at this. So in here, there was an upload asset, and its release is a new release. Oh, what's that? So what? So when we created this release, which we got from, oh, hold on. If we look at this guy, this is the thing that we got back from. No, see, that's not. There's a release, which is Is that our model, or is that one that we get from? Oh, I wonder whether we are missing a property on this object. I just pressed totally the wrong button. I wonder if we are missing a property on here, which is then not getting mapped by the value that's coming back, which means that when we map this release onto here, it doesn't have the upload URL. So how would I begin to figure that out? So this release comes from where? So here's the call stack. So the upload assets async comes from here. This is getting the release from here. So if we stick a breakpoint there, if we stop this and run this again, and we do debug start new instance, so if we step into here and we, yeah, I wonder at this point we have a release which is an OctoKit release, and that OctoKit release includes an upload URL. Son of So clearly that value wasn't required previously when we were uploading an asset. So now that value is needed. So my question becomes, and if you're still listening, Kim, this question's really directed at you. We now need that upload URL in order to upload the asset. But this feels, so that's where I was going, but this almost feels like a GitHub specific property. So I know we don't have one yet, but what's going through my head is if and when we add a GitLab provider, if and when we add a Git T or Git-ia, however you pronounce it, that property may not make any sense for those providers. So I'm curious, I'm hesitant to just add it, but there's also not much what we can do about it, because so we could have an aftermap. Oh, my internet's gone again. Mother Hubbard. So what Kim was saying there, let's talk through it while he's not here. So we could have an aftermap that iterates and stores a list of URLs. So what I think Kim's saying there is, well, how, I don't understand how that would work. Are we saying that as part of the setup of AutoMapper, we would have an additional construct? No, that doesn't make any sense. Or it's not making sense in my head anyway. So what I'm almost tempted to say, and I'll repeat this once the folks are back on the stream, is I'm tempted to say that for this release, which is still really only focusing on GitHub, we should add a property that is the upload URL. And then after that, add an issue to track that. So once I get a nod that folks are back, I will repeat what I just said and back. So Kim's saying I'm back. Okay, so while you were away, I had a little discussion with myself regarding Kim's last statement. I don't fully understand what you're saying, Kim, but I had a little dialogue with myself, and what I think we're going to do is that for this release, which is really just focusing on GitHub, although we've kind of broken it up, I think I'm tempted to add the property that is the upload URL to the release model that we have, and then add an issue for tracking purposes to provide the ability to differentiate that once we start implementing the different providers. Does that make sense? It's kind of at the minute, functionality is still limited to just GitHub. This release is more about getting new functionality out the door as opposed to fully providing different providers, because we don't have another one yet. So I'm tempted to say, let's just get it working, and then we can refactor out the property in favor of whatever method we go down. Does that make sense? If so, I'm gonna do it, I think. So if I go in here and look at this, then what we need, oh, I should have checked to see if it was a string or whether it was a, what Kim typed there is have a generic property that stores a list of URLs. Then when doing automapper mapping, have a function that's called with the aftermap function that iterates through those URLs and stores, acquires the necessary URL or something like that. So I think I see what you're saying. What I was almost wondering is whether we would need, depending on what provider is being used, we would have different models. So we'd have a base model that has all the common properties, and then we would define a different mapping profile depending on what provider is being instantiated. That's obviously a little bit more complicated again, and I'm reluctant to do that because then we also wouldn't be able to, we wouldn't even be able to hydrate those from the IOC container. Well, no, it wouldn't. I'm not sure if that would work. Yeah, so like I say, for now, I think I'm happy to add the property on the condition that we add a tracking issue to come back and figure out a better way of doing this. What is Maurice working on here? Let's have a wee look. Oh, look at you, your breadboard. Let's bring this in and have a wee chat about it. So we're going to put this in here and this in here. So here's his TFT. This is whatever board you said that you were using. I forget which one you said you were using. So it's obviously got USB power coming in, some things feeding off of there into TFT. That. So many memories coming back. This is why I used to play with this sort of stuff all day long, but I haven't played with any sort of electronics in a long time. So what's not working? Is it just not communicating at all? I'm curious now. This feels like a rabbit hole though. So much fun. It's not communicating at all. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, that's not good at all. Is the TFT got any sort of test program that you can run just to prove that it's that the TFT is functioning at all? Oh, so you're at that point. Okay. I was just wondering if the TFT had like a test program that you can run to prove that it's functioning. Oh, I see. Okay, fair enough. Fun and games though. Fun games. Okay, so for now, if we go back to Visual Studio, I've already forgotten what I was looking at. I never checked to see what the property was, whether it's a URI or whether it's a... No, it must be a string, but let's prove that out. Let's prove that out. So if we do F10 over this, then this release we decided has a property that is upload URL, and that upload URL is, let's just be a string, let's just check. So yes, okay, so it's a string. So if we go back to our release, then let's put it beside this. So we're going to do public string upload URL, and we're going to do a get and a set on that. So just by adding that, this is our model. AutoMapper is already mapping releases to where it needs to be. So I'm wondering if that's actually all that's required. So debug, start new instance. And let's see where we get to. Lost my ping that I've got running in the background just to see if I've still got a network connection. It's still running, still getting ping responses. Highly technical over here. So if we go into here and we run this through, and we run this through, then our OctoKit release here should now have, no, that's not the right, oh no, that is the right one. Our OctoKit release, right, yes, I am reading it right. So our OctoKit release should now have an upload URL, which is this. And if we run that, then didn't die, which is a good sign. So if we go over to our release over here that is 012, now it's got an asset, which is the export.md. And if we click on that guy and we show in folder and we look at it, I don't think we actually put anything in it. Oh, we did. Okay, well, that was a simple fix, he says. So let's go up to here and let's close that out because we're finished with that. Finish with that. And we go over here and say Git tools, GitReleaseManager. Let's go and create a new tracking issue for this. These are all the build related ones that we found a slight issue. So I haven't given them I want to track them to say that what we've done, but I'm also not putting them as bugs or anything, because these are actual regressions on the previous release. So I'm going to assign this one to myself, and I'm going to put this in the 0.12.0 milestone, and in here we're going to put verbiage similar to the last one, which is unable to upload asset to release. There has been a change in the way that OctoKit uploads an asset to a release, and there is now a requirement that a property called upload URL is provided. Internally within GRM, we map an OctoKit release to our internal model, and then map back again when doing something with the release. Since we don't have an upload URL property on that model. This is essentially lost during this thing. For now, simply add a new property to the internal release model. Come on, internal release model, and we can refactor this in later releases of GRM. Okay, submit new issue. I think the change isn't on OctoKit, but rather how we are using it. Could be that specific scenario wasn't mapped with AutoMapper initially. So it wasn't. I agree. I mean, we weren't mapping that property, but there's something within the OctoKit upload asset that's now doing some work with that property where it wouldn't have been doing it before, or how they're processing it or how they're using it wasn't a requirement before, but now it is. So I think it must be a change in OctoKit, or at least a change in the processing of OctoKit. I think that's what makes sense to my head anyway. So we are going to do, what was the number? 377. 377. Add upload URL property to release model. This now seems to be a requirement in OctoKit, so we need to make sure to map this property from the OctoKit release to our internal model so that we can map it back again when required. This may require later refactoring once we figure out how to handle multiple providers. Okay, so with that done, I want to say that we've tested everything. However, I'm going to run a full build over here. So let's go back up and we'll run through a complete set of steps to make sure that we haven't broken anything. And if we haven't, then I'm going to say it's time to ship this thing, because I've been saying that for about 4 weeks now. So fingers crossed we can play with this. Now, did everybody see the GitHub announcement? This is one for you, Maurice. Where can I find one that would... Where would I be able to find one? There's a new functionality within the GitHub UI that allows you to update out-of-date forks. There's a button. Fido announcement. Which one's that? I was talking about this one, the fetch upstream. So if your branch, if your fork is out of date with the upstream, there's a button now to push it and update it. And you can, so this is Pullbot basically. There's a button in the UI that does that work for you. Now, quite how it does it in terms of the end result in the origin repository here, I don't know. Whether it's a fast forward merge, whether it's a whatever, I don't know. I haven't looked into that. Pullbot does do it. I'm not saying it's a replacement for Pullbot, but I'm saying that there is functionality now to push a button and do it. Which one are you referring to, Kim? The FIDO announcement? I'm not sure. I want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing before we go down that route. Yes, so like I say, I'm not saying it's a full replacement, but I'm saying that depending on what your workflow is, this is maybe a nice addition to that workflow. No, I haven't seen that one. FIDO, GitHub. No, I missed that one. GitHub changelog. Oh, that's been announced. Did you see that one? There's a new mode. So in addition to light and dark, there's a dark dimmed now as well. That depending on your preferences, you may prefer the dark dimmed as opposed to just a straight light or dark. Oh, you're talking about this one, SSH. Oh no, I saw this one come through the Twitter just before we came on stream. Yes, no, I was getting to it. I saw this go through Twitter just as I was coming on stream, but then I don't use SSH keys. I just use HTTPS. Maybe that's bad of me, but I've never got into the habit of using SSH keys. I would just use HTTPS. GitHub itself have had the dim mode for some time though. Are we talking about the same thing? Oh, that's on the docs. Oh, I completely misread that one. Interesting. There you go. So that would be on. They are eventually going to fix the checkbox as being unable to tell the difference between, or are they eventually? That would be good. Personally, I have it auto-configured to use SSH when pushing changes, but use HTTP on pulling. Why would you distinguish between the two? Oh, we need to fix, there's broken tests. I noticed that earlier. Why would you do that, Kim? CD into build artifacts, and then temp, and then published, and then into publish applications, GitReleaseManager, net72, and in here there's a GitReleaseManager exe. Okay, so if we go over here and we look at, close off some of these. We're over here. So I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to delete it. Okay. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to be able to create a release from a milestone. So we should be able to come in here and we should be able to create a release. And the things that we need to do there are a token, an owner, and a repository. And then we need to provide a milestone and a name. So we need to come in here and we need to say milestone v0.1.2. We need to give it a name, which we'll call it v0.1.2. We'll give it a token, which is the env testing token, and then we're going to give it an owner, which is git tools, and then the repository, which is fake repository. And if we do that, it should create a new release. So we'll come over here and we do that, which it did. Good. So we've tested the create at least a little bit. Then if we come in here and we say discard, then the discard needs a name. It doesn't have the name property. So let's get rid of the name. Okay, we discard that and we come in here and we refresh, then it should be gone. Okay, so the discard works as expected. So let's now do the create again, but this time we'll add in an asset at the point of time that we are running the create. That's different from what the last test that we did, because this time round when we created it, it should have already been created with an asset, which is the export.md. That's good. And if we come in here and look in our temp folder, we got anything else that we can upload? Export all. So this time around, we can come in here and we can say GitReleaseManager, create, add asset, assets, add asset. We do that with export-all. That doesn't like the M or N because once it's created and it's adding an asset, it's T. Uploading assets, so we come over here and we refresh this and there should now be two assets, export and export all. So we've tested that one. We created the release. We haven't tested the creation of a release from a input file, so we should do that as well. So let's discard the release again. And then if we come back into the create, so we don't want to give it a milestone. What we want to do instead is give it an input. That should fail. Unable to locate input file. So it must be looking for, also a default, but we can also provide it. So if we go into create and do an H, it's not one that I use very often. So the -i is the input file path. So if we do an asset, which is export all, and we do a -i, which is c temp export.md, then does that work? Creating a release. If I refresh this, then it did. So it created one with the name and target of 012, which is the name that I gave it, and then it took the contents of that export.md and added it into there, and it also included the asset, which is that. So that looks good to me. I'm going to discard that one more time. So we've tested the release with, well, we need to test the new functionality, which is to create an empty release. So there's new functionality in here, which is create-h. So we should be able to there we go. So there's a new one. Wasn't there? Did we not add new functionality that was to allow an empty release? Didn't we? I didn't make that up, I don't think. Control F, allow empty. That's clearly not going to find that. Oh, empty. Nils is saying that we did. So where is it in the documentation? Log configuration. Was it called empty? Create command. Create sub options. What am I missing? Add get in. Maybe. What was the? Do you have the issue to hand, Nils? Milestones. Part 1 closed. Empty. So I found the issue. The add a method for creating an empty release. We updated docs. Create command. We've got tests for it. Allow empty. So confused. Not got any match key. No. Where was this merged into? One, two. That was all 8 months ago. So this one was 21 days ago. 2 months. 1 1. 1 month. 1 1 2. Hold on. Yes, it is exactly what Kim was suggesting. It was merged into develop, but the release branch was taken afterwards. And another reason to use pullbot. Not sure if pullbot would have had a direct thing here. I mean, what's happened is that we have taken a release branch, and then someone, me, has sent a PR into the repository, and it's been merged into the develop branch rather than the release branch. So what we need to do is we need to check to see that we haven't got any. So we need to go git switch develop. We need to do a git fetch upstream. We need to do a git rebase upstream develop. We're going to push that to our origin. Never let logic and truth get in the way of believing pullbot would solve the issue. Love it. Love it. So we need to do a git switch back to our release branch 0, 12, 0. And then we're going to do a git merge no ff from develop. So we're bringing develop into our release branch. And at that point, when we go back into here, if we now do a search for allow empty, we should be able to find it, which we can. Okay. Looks like that merge into develop was on me. Was it me that created the PR though? I must have not targeted the right branch. So it's on me to not targeting the right place either. So if we do a build again here, let's do one more. We'll do a full build. Oh, we'll have to go back and do all these tests again. So I should write down what our testing is, shouldn't I? Let's start a new page. Because I want this process to be documented somewhere so that we know what we've done. So GRM testing. So we create release for Milestone. We discard it. We create release for Milestone with asset. Discard it. Create release for input file path. Discard it. Create release for input file path with asset. We discard it and then create release for with empty and discard it. So a little bit of a backwards and forwards there, but Kim saying, I think I know why. Seems that the upstream repo does not have a release branch. Probably have it in your own fork, perhaps. Or I just have it local on this machine. That's also a possibility. Where is that branch currently? Yeah, now that release branch is just local on this VM at this point. So that's part of the underlying issue as well. Yes. So lots of things at fault. Lots of things at fault here. But we've learned some. We've figured it out anyway. We remembered that we needed that, which was good. And Kim saying, then I no longer take any responsibility, and I think that's fair. This is wholly on me. Wholly on me. But Poolbot would have fixed it. Surely Poolbot would have fixed it. So I'm not ignoring the failing unit tests that we have here. I'm going to come back to those once I've done kind of a full suite of these are the tests that we want to achieve. So back to here, back to here. So do we still have this? We don't. Okay, so we're back to a known starting point there. So let's do this. Latest version of screen even. Just seen a tweet from someone about chocolate. I'm going to go and read it while. Heads up, latest version of Screen to GIF installed. Even from my original chocolate nougat installed, properly elevated on update. I don't understand what Rick's talking about there. Don't know. Come back to that one. cd into build artifacts, temp, publish applications, and then that one, and then net. Okay, so let's do our, we're going to create a release from a milestone again. So we're going to do a create from a milestone, which is v0.1.2. Its name is going to be v0.1.2. Its token is going to be, seriously, its token is going to be env testing token. It's going to be -o for Git tools, and it's going to be -r for fake repository. So that should allow us to create one. Beautiful. Then we need to be able to discard it. So the discard is going to be just the milestone. Discarding release v0.12, and it's gone. Okay. And then, so Siska from DK, I think you're trying to run a chatbot command there for what project we're running currently. I don't have that set up, I'll be honest. We are currently working though on a system called GitReleaseManager, which is an open source project that allows you to create release notes from for a GitHub project based on issues that are on a milestone or from a set of input release notes. And we're getting very close to having a releasable new version, but we're just kind of going through some testing and finding some last minute edge cases for that. I think we need to figure out a short argument for token. Yeah, because we already use -t for tag, Kim, so we would need to, I'm not sure what token would be in that one. That's maybe a candidate for a breaking change once we go to Spectre CLI or Spectre console, whatever the actual name is. So something to think about. But yeah, at the minute we don't have a short version of token. So that was that one tested. So the next one was to use a create from an input, which was, no, the next one was to create it with an asset. So C temp, and then export MD. So that should allow us to create a release with an asset associated with it, which it did. Beautiful. Let's discard that. So we've done that one, we've done that one, we've done that one, and we discard it again. Then we run the create, which is using an input, which is C temp export. So we don't add it as an asset, we add it as a input file path. So let's do that. Perfect. So this will still have 0, 1, 2, but it's got different content, which is that. Next one. And then if we discard that again, and then we run this one with a -a, which is C temp export all. That should allow us to have a release that has that content but with an asset, which it did. And then back again, and we can discard it. Perfect. Then we need to be able to create an empty release. We don't give it an input argument, we don't give it an asset. We don't give it a name, but we give it the allow empty flag. Allow empty all one word. Allow empty. I think we're still going to need to give it a name, aren't we? Should maybe look at the docs on how to create it. It's saying it wants so create -- help. So is it just a name that it wants? --name B012. Yes. So at that point, it's empty. So then the question becomes, can I add an asset when I do my creation? Let's try adding an empty release with an asset. What does that do? Didn't think that was going to work. Didn't think that was going to work. Discard. Take a note of that. Create release with empty with asset. I'm going to say not expected to work. I think that's okay. No idea what the short argument. So Kim's saying no idea what the short argument would be though. I feel that I've seen -x being used for API tokens by some. Can't remember which ones I saw that in though. Yeah, I'm not sure I've seen that one, Kim, but possibly. So we've tested the create and we've tested the discard quite a few times. So what else do we need to test? So let's create a release and then let's add an asset to it as a separate command. So the discard, we'll run it again and it's gone. So back in here, if we create it from there. So we have a 012 release on GitHub, but we don't have any assets associated with it. So I should be able to go add asset. I think we decided it wanted a T rather than anything else. And we wanted -a of C temp export. If we go up here, it's now got an asset which is export. We run that again, it should be a no op. Requested asset to be uploaded already exists on draft release, replacing it, so it's overwriting it. That's fine. So we're going to say add, so we did a create release from Milestone, add asset, add asset again, didn't fail. Let's discard again. Let's discard. The discard definitely works because we've discarded a lot of them. And if we create that again, and what I want to do then is the add asset, but with 2 file paths. So we should be able to add 2 assets to the release. So we've got a 012 and it's got 2 assets on there. Beautiful. And if we run that again, it should be a no op with replacing those ones. Okay, so discard, create release from Milestone. add multiple assets, add multiple assets again, shouldn't fail. Have creation with asset also been tested? Yes, so that was one of the one of the first ones I did. So yes, I created a release for a milestone with an asset, and I did the same for create a release from an input file with an asset. So yes, you can do both. So that to be tested, yes. Where did my list go? So we should be able to publish next. So where are we at? We've got a draft release, so we should be able to publish that. So we should be able to get rid of all this stuff, and we should be able to go in here, and we should be able to go publish and go. There we go. So we publish that with all its stuff on it. Good. Publish release. Now, if we attempt to do a discard, we shouldn't be allowed to. Warning. Release with tag not in draft state, so not discarding. Attempt to discard shouldn't be allowed. So far, so good. We should then be able to close the milestone associated with this thing. Now, when we tested this before, it wasn't updating the issues as we expected it to, but that was because of the configuration. But the configuration of the repository that we're currently in, if I were to go over here and look at C GitHub organizations, Git tools, GitReleaseManager, and look at its GitReleaseManager.yaml file, which is here, then it has use issue comments on, so it does have it. So from this repository, which is where we're running everything, we would expect to see updates to the issues. So if we were to go to here and we were to look at this guy and this guy, then when we close the milestone, we would expect to see a new comment on the issue similar to this. So if we go up to here and let's do an close of the milestone, then hopefully close milestone. Didn't update the comment. Oh no, hold on. No. Why would that not update the issue? Because did it actually close it? If we go over here and we look at the issues, we look at the milestone, then it closed it. What happens if we open it? So we open the milestone again. So Kim's saying that if it's already got the comment. Okay, so let's try this then. So if I were to delete this, and I were to delete this, then if I run the close again, yeah, didn't see it there either. Did we break something? Possible we broke something. Oh, no. I'm trying to remember if... Now I know Git version does this. Does GitReleaseManager work its way up the hierarchy to find the GitReleaseManager.yaml file, or does it expect it to be beside it from where it's running? Because right now we are running GitReleaseManager from this folder. This folder doesn't have a GitReleaseManager.yaml file. But if we were to go up to here and copy this guy and put it into here, what does that do? So let's open the milestone again, and let's close it, having put that configuration file in there. There we go. Okay, so that made it work. Okay, so close milestone, make sure YAML file is in place. Verify comments created. So we will open the milestone again. Open milestone. And let's close it again. And we should get a warning. There we go. Close milestone. Make sure comment isn't added again. Perfect. Yep, so that's that one. Yep. So over here, so we've done the open and close, we've done the publish. There's another command in here that is just version. So run version command and make sure it outputs. Did that one. I suspect that's just because we're on a release branch. So once we're on a tag, once it's stamped the assembly, it will be just 0.12.0, I would suspect. So we've done that one. We've done the help command. Is it actually a command, or is it? Yes. So the help command shows everything that we can run. Run help command and see output, and we can then do git export help. Does that work? Yes. Okay. Happy days. I added the comment before. I meant had the SHA generation of the assets been tested? Oh, sorry, I see what you're saying. No, because the configuration file wouldn't have been in play. So we should go back and test the addition of the assets to see if it adds those things in. I see where you're getting at. So if we were to go back to here, I see what you're saying. So if we were to, so we need to delete the tag. So git push delete origin. No, it's not going to work from there, is it? That needs to be done from my second one, which is here. CD into C, GitHub, organizations, Git tools, fake repository, git push dash dash delete origin v012. We delete the tag, which makes it back to a draft. From here, we can discard it. Happy days. And then if we come back to here and we do a create with an asset, which is there, no, which is this one. So now that we've got that configuration file in play, we come over here, then it includes, was there only one? Command did I just run? Oh, it was just one asset. Okay, yep. So I'm going to add a note here. Ensure SHAs of assets are added. And then if we go back to, oh, is my internet gone again? Oh, I think I dropped out for a little bit there. But I'm back again. If I go back to here and I say, where are we at? I want to add asset to there, which is the export all. No, it is the export.md. So which one's on there currently? The one that's on there currently is the export all. So if I add the asset, which is the export, then we come over here, then it has the SHA for both the export all and the export. Kim saying, indeed, I know there is one issue with it, but no idea how to fix it. If loading additional files in a new command, the previous files are removed. That didn't seem to happen. Were you expecting the export all to be removed? Okay, that might have been fluke. I don't know. What if we do a no op, which is to add the asset that already exists? Is that when it breaks? So there's a yeah, there's something in there because it's duplicated it when it didn't need to. So there's some issue in there, but for the most part, that worked as I kind of expected it to. Help command works. Show config. What does show config do? Hidden feature. Love it. GitReleaseManager.exe show config. That should just list out the current state, the current configuration that's in play, based on either the YAML file or the default configuration. That's fine. Everyone wants to show. Run show config. Make sure it displays. That's that one. The init command. What should the init command do? Init. Creating sample configuration file, creating sample to there. Did that just blow away my configuration file? I think it just blew it away. Artifacts, test, publish applications, 472, GitReleaseManager. Oh no, look. So I had a YAML file. What did it create? It created, I had a YAML file, and it created a YAML file. So if I were to open both of those, so that's the default one, it's all commented out. So if I run git init again, cannot write sample file, already exists. Oh, so it does do what I want it to do. Run init, see it create sample file, run again, show it not overwrite. Okay. Init, open. So the only one that was not tested yet really is the export and the label. I don't really want to run the label command on this repository because then that will break a bunch of stuff, because it deletes all the labels and then adds them all back in again, which will mean that the issues that are currently on the milestone will no longer have those labels. So it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg. It does work though. How to prove it? So if I go to, you know what, let's just run it and we'll put them all back again. So if I take this milestone, am I going away again? Oh no, I'm still here. If I run the label command here, then based on the configuration file and the labels that you have configured, it will create those labels on your repository. So it's creating standard labels. So it did it. So if I go up to here and I look at my issues and I look at my labels, then I have 9 of them. So to prove that out, if I go ahead and delete them all, delete, 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 and then delete, delete, delete. If I run back and run that label command again, and then I run this, and they're all back again. Problem with that approach though, if I go to issues and milestones and my closed one, these closed issues no longer have any labels associated with them. I think what we had was we had it as a bug for one of them, and we had it as a breaking change for the other. Let's just put them back the way they were. Delete all labels from repo, run label command, see them all created. So that's the label command. So the one that's left is the export. So if we go back and check what we can do with this guy, we run export help, then what we can do is we can specify the output file path, and there was a new functionality which was skip pre-releases. So how would we verify that? So just now on our fake repository, we have 2 releases. one of which is a pre-release. Now that's marked as pre-release. Okay, so if I go ahead and publish this one, and we do an export with the -f being ctemp export all.md, so there's already one there called that. So let's delete those and have it create it again. That's okay, I think. So if I go over here and run ctemp export all, then we've got 012, 011. Oh, that's why it's confusing me. But it has got 012, 011, and 010 in it. If I were to run that again with the skip pre-releases command, then this should no longer have the 010 in it. Why did that not work? I go back to here and I look at this, then edit. This is marked as a pre-release, but I thought in the export command we had option skip pre-releases. So in the GitHub provider, if skip pre-releases, then releases.add age where it's not a pre-release. And the output of that, yeah, so let me put this down here a second again. I'm going to run that command for reals. So we want to do an export owner fake repository, take this part out, and then the token, and then it's a dash f with export all.md. Go ahead and save that and close it. I was just doing that so that I can not show my token on stream. So if we run this again and we say, let's put a breakpoint here, then we run this guy, debug, start new instance, should get into here. How much time have I got left? 20 minutes. Is that running? Thinking. We get into here, then skip pre-releases is false. Oh, I never put that on. So we get to here and there should be 3 of them. What button did I push there? Did I push the wrong button? I think I pushed the wrong button. Run that again. Debug, start new instance. So we should have 3. 3, beautiful. Okay. So I'm going to push this down here again. And let's add that option on, which was -- skip pre-releases. Save. Bring this back once more into the breach. Debug, start new instance. So at this point, skip pre-releases should be true. So at this point, releases should be 2. Oh, is it appending the file? Is that what it's doing? No? Come on. Oh, my internet's gone again. I thought I was on a little bit of a roll there. Hadn't happened for a little bit. It's trying to tell me that it's time to close down for the night, I think. Let's wait for this to come back one more time. So the annoying thing here obviously is my PC that I'm using is a VM in Azure. So while I can still talk and the stream is still being recorded locally, I can't use it up here. Back again. Back again. So in here, if I let that play through, and why is 010 still there? 010 shouldn't be there. How is it even getting it? Just thought of something. And it would be really bad if that's what it is. But let's do it one more time. So the number of releases is definitely 2. So if we step over that, then when we come into here, we're exporting the release notes with a count of 2. So if we step into that and we step into here, releases is still 2, and the releases are the 012 and the 011. So we step over, we step over. So the string builder has got nothing in it, but if we step over that, the string builder now has stuff in it. Do that for the second release. Everybody's happy. No releases left. Finished exporting. We return the string. That then goes into there. That then goes into there. I think this is where the problem comes. Yep. What I don't know is how to fix it. The problem here is that it's not overwriting the remainder of the file. So what I mean by that is if I come in here and I delete the previously created export all that doesn't have the 010 in it, and I come in here and I run this guy again, debug, start new instance, and I let this play through, then here it will have updated it, but it's obviously not put the latter part. So it's not overwriting the last chunk of the the file. And that's because of something to do in here. So we're asking it to file mode open or create. So it's opened it, but it hasn't flushed the file out. So is there another overload? I don't recall, Kim. I don't know. I mean, we didn't have the skip pre-releases option previously. So I don't know. What's the file mode open? Is there additional properties that you can put on here? There's file access. I don't think that's what we want. I don't know if that's a bug or not. So export all releases. I'm just writing down what we're testing. Export all releases without pre-releases. Export single release. Let's test that one. So over here, if we run export and put it into export, and then is it the tag? Find out. So exported just that, hopefully. That's this one. No, it's not that one. That was from a different location. The C temp export has got just the 010 in it. Okay, export single release. That part worked. Export. Okay then. Do I have GRM installed? No. Do I have .NET GitReleaseManager installed? I do. What version's that? 0.11. Wish that does have the full version number. Even better. So if I run that, well, let's just do the export all. So how would we test that? We could test it by exporting all and then deleting the. Let's do that. So let's not use that. Let's use .NET Git Release Manager. Okay, so that updated the export all and it has everything contained within it. Happy days. If we go back over here and we look at the releases, so let's go to here and let's delete the tag. Into here, discard the release, and let's run that export command again. So it had over 45 lines. So now we've got 1, 2, yeah. So we haven't broken anything. It's doing the exact same thing as it was before. Now whether that's a new issue, that's a different story. But currently it will overwrite, well, it'll open, it'll append the new content, and if there's newer content or if there's more content, then it merges them together effectively. That's maybe a bug. But I think undocumented feature, even better, Maurice, even better. Okay. Are we in a shippable state? So we've tested. Oh, no, we haven't tested the. We haven't tested the new piece of functionality, Kim, which is, so in the next 10 minutes, let's test the latest piece of functionality, which is to use a template when creating the release notes. So if I go over here and I look at the docs, then what we should be able to do now is we should be able to use create with a template. So I thought we added information on how to do that, didn't we? Here we go. Template configuration. Resolving child files, extracting embedded. Oh, you see. Okay. So that's something that we need to test in the init command. So over here, let's go and look at the init with templates. What does it do? Oh, look at that. So if we go into here, then it created a .templates folder with a default in it. So run init -- templates. Marissa's asking, you want to ship it with a known bug? I mean, it's a known bug in the sense that it's been there. So we haven't introduced it in this release. It was there in the previous release. So it was not something that we were aware of until now. So we either need to fix it in this release or we document it and we fix it in the next one. I'm erring towards the side of the latter, which is we just add a bug or an issue for it and we fix it later. Because we've been holding on to this release for over a year, so I'm inclined to ship it and just document that there is a bug. Run it in templates, make sure templates are extracted, which they are. So then what I should be able to do, the following JSON object is made available in the global state. Some template files may have additional objects available, parent objects. Okay. Using a single file. Try to remember how all of this works. Oh, my internet's gone again. So close. What I want to prove is that I can create a release with the templates, but modifying the template slightly so that I know that we can edit those things. So hopefully I'm back. If I close off these things and I say open, C, GitHub, organizations, Git tools, GitReleaseManager, build artifacts, temp, publish applications, GitReleaseManager, CLI, templates, default, open. So these are all the Scriban templates. And in here, what I want to do is I want to edit something in one of these files to prove that I can create my own template that has a bunch of stuff in it. So the issue details includes template, which is the issue number, HTML URL, and issue title. So if I were to take that out and put it here, and instead put the issue title at the start, right? So then when we create, find my create again. So when we create that with some assets here, then when we go to the release that we've just created, then it didn't do anything. It's also got multiple export things on it that I wouldn't have necessarily expected. So what did I do there? I'm going to discard that draft one more time again. I'm going to create it with 2 assets. Oh no, hold on. Let's go back to the simple case. So we're not going to provide an input file or an asset. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to run it from the milestone, because otherwise it's not using the template. So this time around, if I refresh this, there we go. Okay, so now it's put, I've altered the template. So I've extracted the built-in templates that Kim added. The default templates are what GitReleaseManager does today. So it's the square bracket issue with the URL and then the title. So now you have complete control over how you want the release to be created. So all I did there was basically put the title in front of the issue number. So if you wanted that to look differently, to have hyphens, capital letters, whatever you wanted to do, you can edit all of that within the Scriban templates to have whatever you want in it. So you have full control over how those release notes are generated. And there's documentation that Kim added that walks you through exactly all of that. So that works. So create release using modified template files. And the idea is that this templates folder would be checked into your source control repository. So in the same way that there is a GitReleaseManager YAML file, you would then have a .templates folder that contain the Scriban templates ready to go. You did, yes, you did. So this was all you. This is your document that you created. It was a while ago. It was a good while ago. So I don't blame you for not remembering, but it's all there. So I think from a functionality point of view, let's have a quick look at the GitReleaseManager upcoming release to make sure that I haven't missed any new functionality that we should test. 41 closed issues. A lot of these are bumps. That's just a maintenance thing. Bump, bump, bump. Migrate, that's a build thing. Don't need to worry about that. Don't need to worry about that. Support both YAML and YAML extensions. So we've already proven that because the default init creates it with a YML, and the one that I was using was a YAML. That's internal refactoring. That's just nothing to worry about. GitReleaseManager folder, that's just an internal thing as well. Make default configuration consistent. Forget what that one was. I haven't seen any problems. By default, the configuration for the labels. Oh, okay, I remember. So we fix those. That's nothing to worry about for the functionality point of view. Split, markdown format for documentation. Master branch is hard-coded. We removed the hard-coded master branch. Now it's in the YAML file. Allow fingering control the release notes. That's what we've just tested. Remove the use of username and password. So that's now token only. So token was supported in the 0.11.0 release of GitReleaseManager, but now we've removed it. So it's a breaking change because it's no longer there. It was obsoleted and now it's being removed. Provide ability to configure default labels. So that's in the YAML file now. So if we go back over and have a look at the YAML file, which was this one, then in here you get full control over the default labels that you create. It was hard-coded before, now it's not. Update GRM to make use of, that's an internal refactoring. Update the NuGet API key. GitHub Actions build, show all problem. That was a good. We haven't proven that. We attempt to create release with multiple problems in it. Can't create an empty release. So we proved that one. Add a flag for defining, and we've proved that one out as well. So the last one to test then was, if we go over here and discard this release, and we go to the issues, we go to the milestone, we reopen the milestone, we go to the issues that are on it, and let's remove the label from both of these, meaning that it's clearly not what I want to do. Label, there we go. There we go. So if we attempt to create that release, we should get 2 errors. Lots of stack traces, that's fine, but we should get bad issue. The formatting of this is not very good, but it is telling me bad issue number 8 and bad issue number 3. Now, the reason I'm saying that formatting is okay is because once we move to spectre.console, I think we'll have much better way of styling and outputting all the errors that happen. So I don't want to spend too much time in here trying to make it look pretty, knowing that we're going to go to spectre.console and we'll have much more fine-grained functionality there. And also there's the upcoming refactoring, which is to remove the usage of exceptions for handling the control workflow. We need to move to exit codes and all that sort of stuff. So again, I don't want to spend too much time looking at that side of things, just that it is outputting everything. So we tested that. I think we're at a point where we can ship. So the bugs that we were speaking about, bugs, appending, release notes when exporting all. So there's a couple of things that we spoke about. Siska from DK, are you using an analog tool to write notes? If by analog you mean a notepad, then no. I'm very much an old school person when it comes to syncing to paper. So when I'm going through this sort of process, I much prefer to write it onto a physical paper to then transfer to somewhere else. I've never got into the habit of using a electronic device for doing what I'm doing here. I prefer paper. So now there's something else that we spoke about when we were going through this. What were they? I've forgotten what some of the things that we spoke about were, that we would do them later. Can anyone remember what those later things were, so I can write them down? There was at least one other thing. I've forgotten what it was. What did we say? We said, oh, there's at least one thing. There's a bug where the SHAs don't update correctly when adding new assets. There was something else, wasn't there? Maybe there wasn't. If anyone remembers, let me know. But for now, I think we're in a shippable position. So this version of GitReleaseManager has all the functionality that it previously had. From the look of it, it has the new functionality that we've added into this release, and it now works when it didn't before. So we're not going to do it now because it's almost my bedtime. So I'm going to wrap up for today, and I'm going to say that at some point during this week, maybe we'll do a release of GitReleaseManager 0.12.0. So that's all I have. Assuming that I get that release done during the week, I think next week on stream we should start thinking about doing something else. One of those something else would be the release of magic chunks. That I would dearly love to get that off my to-do list, and then at that point I kind of want to go back to some cake stuff. I feel that I've been dragging my heels a little bit on a few cake related things, so I would want to go back and do some cake related functionality additions, and that might be in the realm of cake add-ins, but there's also some functionality that's kind of would be good to get into cake itself. So maybe that would be a good opportunity to switch over to that. In terms of a recap of what I've done tonight, so my recap is happening at 10:05, so that I can find it again. So at 10:05, what we've done today is we've went through and we've tested everything that's coming up in the next release of GitReleaseManager. We found at least one thing that we needed to fix, and that was with regard to how the uploading of assets is working. There was a change in functionality in how OctoKit works that we needed to adapt into GitReleaseManager. We fixed that, and then we went through the process of testing all of the commands within GitReleaseManager. Ideally, all of this stuff that we've gone through and I've written onto my notepad here would be automated. The slight problem with that is that because it's actually touching GitHub releases, there's certain things that you need to back out, and they kind of need to be in a known state before you can run some of these commands. So it's not easy to do in an automated way without kind of crafting, do this, then revert it, do this, then revert it, etc. It's just not easy to do in an automated way, which is why I much prefer to have it as this is our release process. These are the tests that we do, and at least that we have those documented, then we can catch any regression before we ship a release. So that's why I've synced it to my bit of paper here, and I'll get this updated into a release process somewhere. And that's it. That's all I've got. So thank you everyone for hanging out tonight. I appreciate it. But for now, I'm going to say that that's me done. So I hope everyone stays safe in the COVID world that we're currently living in, and I'll hopefully see you all next week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.